Hey everybody, Dr. Z here. And so to summarize day number 4, in which we talked about insulin, which is huge, because this is really one of the key factors right here of how to go about this. And so remember that if the blood sugar goes more than 100, then the beta cells of the pancreas start producing insulin to be able to put that sugar somewhere else. And then that is the post-absorptive, in the post-absorptive state, in which the body then starts saying, okay, if the sugar is less than 99, the pancreas starts releasing glucagon to get more blood sugar into the bloodstream to be able to be utilized. And, as I mentioned, glucagon then raises the blood sugar by making it from the liver and from other tissues by breaking down the glycogen or those stores. And so it's really important to realize that we have a lot of stores in our body and we just have to use them up. And so that's where glucagon is really good for. And so, as insulin then just moves this glucose out of the bloodstream. The main thing to realize is that insulin doesn't get rid of the sugar. It just moves it into other areas of your body. And also it shifts your body from a catabolic state, so like breaking down everything we need, to an anabolic state, like building up and gaining weight. And so if we want to really stop the building, then we need to trigger another event. And what happens is that insulin also stops glycogenolysis. And glycogenolysis is just the breakdown on these glycogen stores of the liver and the muscle, and then so that they can be released into the body. And so let me put that into perspective again. And so let's say that I'm fasting for a long time and my body needs energy. So then my body will start turning and start breaking down glycogen stores, or that sugar that was turned into fat, glycogen stores, and breaking it down into blood sugar so that I can use it. And so this is what is called glycogenolysis. Lysis is to break down, and glyco is glycogen, right? And so insulin stops that. Insulin stops that from happening. So we need to use that endocrine ability, and we need to trigger another system so that insulin is not there anymore. And what happens is that insulin ramps up glycogenesis. So it ramps up the body saying, okay, we need to build fat. We need to build more fat. And so how it does is it takes all these glycogens together, all this glucose, and puts them into glycogen. And so that's why it's so important to think about that. And then, what happens is that then in the liver, this glucose is transformed into something called triglycerides. And then these triglycerols then get shipped into the fat tissue. So that's how we end up being fat. Now, if you stop eating, in 24 hours, your body's going to start making gluconeogenesis. And so what that means is that your body's going to have to start making sugar somewhere. And so it starts converting all these fat and all these amino acids into glucose so it can make fuel. And the fuel is called ATP. So it can make that. And so that's the main thing, guys. That's what we need to do. And so a lot of people talk about diets, and diets are important, but it's just one part of the story. Diets are just important because it's just one part of the story, right? With type 2 diabetics. With type 1 diabetics, of course, it's important, but fasting is not as important for them as it is for type 2 diabetics. So we need to trigger gluconeogenesis. That's what we need to do. And how do we do that? How do we tell our body, you got to make fuel from what you got, from what you already have? I'm not going to give you any fuel. You got to make fuel from what you got. And what is that? That's how we do it through fasting. And so if you fast for 2 to 4 days, right, um, or if you keep a low carbohydrate intake for 2 to 4 days, less than 50 grams a day, usually people will get into ketogenesis. Usually people get into ketogenesis. So, if you divide 50 grams of carbs into 3 meals, that's not a lot of carbs. That's not a lot of carbs, especially nowadays that everything has carbs. So you have to be careful with that, because otherwise you are triggering the storage of glucose. So some people say, yeah, fruits and vegetables, fruits and vegetables. That's true, but I can't tell you enough how many people I've had in the hospital. Actually, just one story I want to tell you. One story is about a patient that came into the hospital with a huge levels of blood sugar, like 700. So he came into the ER because he was feeling like crap, of course. And then I asked him, I said, "What's going on?" And he said, "Well, I didn't tell the emergency room doctor this, but I stopped all my meds and I went into eating all fruits." And so, because he thought that fruits were healthy. And the thing with fruits is that they've been advertised just like any other foods. Nature advertises this to us with nice colors, and the same advertisement is used by companies. And so, but you can gain weight on fruits. You can. I didn't believe this before. You can. And you can go into high levels of glucose, like hyperosmolar diabetic non-ketogenic coma, right? You can do it from fruits. And so the main thing is to trigger ketogenesis and to trigger the breakdown or glucose, right? And that's what we need to do, the gluconeogenesis, to make glucose from the body. So gluconeogenesis, this is what we want. And then our body will turn into ketogenesis to start making ketones for fuel, right? And so that's what we want, because that will get us into creating different fuel for our brain, like ketones, and burning all the excess that we have. And so for that, the only way to do that is through fasting. That's the only way to do it, to release the amount of intake that is coming into our body. And so the mission for today that you have is to actually fast. I don't care if you fast for an hour. I don't care if you fast for 2. I don't care if you fast for 4, right? I don't care if you fast for 6. All I want you to do is just to go through the exercise of going a little bit longer without eating than what you would before. It's only hunger. It's only hunger. Remember, it's only hunger. It's only hunger. All the food is available to you. It's just that you are choosing to fast. So it's only hunger. And I want you to fast for as long as you want to. You can do a 48-hour fast if you want to go all in. And call me or message me with your blood sugars, and you're going to be amazed. I have people, text me after this, and they are emotional because they hadn't had their blood sugar so low. Now, you want to make sure you are a type 2 diabetic for this, which 80% of the people are, right? 80% of the people. So, of course, if you start feeling way too sick, if you start feeling that you're getting confused, if anything like that, stop it, give me a text, and we can talk you through it. But I would start, if you haven't done fasting, I would start with 6 hours or 12 hours. I would go with that, and then check your blood sugars after that, and you'd be amazed. You'd be amazed at what that can do, right? And the hungers are just like waves. Hungers are just like waves. So you'll feel really, really, really hungry, and then your body's gonna start making fuel for you. You've probably been there, that you forget to eat. You're really hungry, and then you forget to eat, and then you're not hungry anymore, and then you're like, oh, I haven't eaten, right? Because your body just forgets about that. It starts making its own fuel. And think about that. It's just breaking down all the fatty tissues that we have in excess and creating glucose and ketones with them, to be able to help us produce, uh, get rid of this disease, really. And so your task for today is to fast. And so when you complete your task, just put in that little thing, just hit the complete button, just complete, and just say, how many hours you fasted. And that's it for today, guys. support each other, support each other, support each other. And Dr. Z here. I'll see you next module. Take care.